Okay. All right, you all. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Lady Victoria here with Victoria School of Etiquette, where we offer a solution to all of your etiquette dilemmas. And good evening, Patrick. It is the 10 o'clock hour, going on the 11 o'clock hour here in Chicago. But I am Lady Victoria, your etiquette educator. And I'm broadcasting to you live tonight from the great windy city of Chicago. It's Chi-Town, we like to call it. We are the best in the Midwest. And Victoria School of Etiquette, we are very happy to have you be a part of our platform on tonight. So please like and share across your various social media platforms. Thank you all for watching me live on tonight. I promise not to keep you too long. And for those of you that will catch the replay version of this, thank you for watching it because you could be doing something else. But you're here with us tonight and you decided to do the replay as well. And so for those of you that are on YouTube, you will be able to access this video later on tonight or definitely the first thing in the morning, but I'll put it up tonight so that you will have access to it. And for those of you that have not joined me, good evening. Thank you for watching. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so over there. It's by the same name, Victoria School of Etiquette on YouTube. That way you have access to all of our video material. So this is Bedtime Chronicles on tonight. This is a series of shows that I do from time to time. Oftentimes based on true stories or requests that I've gotten from the general population. And so that is the case on tonight. Bedtime Chronicles, I always say this is a place for grown folks only. So if you're not full grown, you might want to click off now. There definitely should not be any children on. It's not a rated R version, but it is just adult material. And so tonight we are going to address, I entitled this one, The Common Law Marriage versus the Legal Wife. A common law marriage versus the legal wife. Now, I know for years growing up, when I was growing up as a teenager and as a young girl in the city of Chicago, I oftentimes heard about common law relationships. And the law describes a common law relationship as a couple, typically a man and a wife, a man and a woman that have lived together for a number of years. And I know it used to be that the law in Illinois said a common law marriage came into fruition if you had lived together as a couple, as husband and wife. Good evening. Thank you for joining. If you had come together and you were living together for 5 years or more, then you were considered common law. But laws change, things change. And so in the state of Illinois, common law marriages are no longer recognized. If you are living together in the state of Illinois and you consider yourself husband and wife without a legal document to prove it, meaning a marriage license and a marriage certificate, if you do not have those documents and you have been living together for however long, the state of Illinois does not recognize you as a husband and wife. So you need to be familiar with the law where you live, in whatever state you live in, to know whether or not that applies to you. If your state acknowledges, recognizes, or honors common law relationships, you need to know that ahead of time before you are in a situation where the spouse is deceased, where you and your common law spouse broke up, or whatever the situation is, you need to know where you stand because, from a legal standpoint in Illinois, if you've been living together for 5 years versus 20 years, the state of Illinois does not recognize you as a legal union. Now, here's the kicker with it though. If you live in a state within the United States that recognizes common law marriages within that state, you can be common law married there in another state and then move to Illinois. Illinois will honor your common law marital state from another state once you move here and reside here. And it doesn't matter how long you reside here. If your state recognized it and you lived there prior to coming to Illinois as a resident, then Illinois will honor it. What I found interesting is some of the states that does acknowledge common law marriages and relationships. And if you're watching or you're listening or you're going to share this across your social media platforms, and if you're going to share it across your social media platform, and some of your viewers find themselves in that situation, then hear me and say, know the law in the state that you reside in, because it's different from state to state. And you need to know the various criteria that goes along with that. Sorry, I'm getting some other people tagged on. You need to know the stipulations in your state if they honor it, but there are a lot of stipulations that goes along with it. It has to be before this number, before this year, before, I think it's let me see, 10/10/91, I believe, actually, Patrick, that it was in the state of Ohio, that a change was made. So you need to know those, all of those things before you find yourself in a situation where your spouse passes away. And in the state of Illinois, they have a legal husband or wife living in the state of Illinois or living in another state. You were legally married to someone else. You left your legal partner and moved in with someone else, and you consider yourself common law married after 5 years in Illinois. Illinois does not recognize it. It does not recognize it. So when your spouse dies, guess who gets all of the money? Not you. It's unfortunate. It is unfortunate, but the situation I'm referring to tonight, like I said, is a real life situation that happened to a young lady that, hey, Tonil, that happened to a young lady that found herself in a situation very similar to this one. She was in a common law relationship with a gentleman for over 20 years. They had a whole house together. They had 3 children together, put these 3 children through college, had grandchildren, celebrated their anniversaries and all of that for all of this time. And he became ill, very, very ill, deathly ill. And she went to the hospital. She was by his side. She was with him until the wife, the legal wife, showed up. This is in the state of Illinois. The legal wife showed up and told her, "You can leave now. His wife is here." She said, "As a matter of fact, don't just leave the hospital. Get out of my house, because that's my house you're living in." Because this young lady moved in with him in the house that he had, that he bought with his legal wife. And they lived there for 20 years, raised the whole family and everything, you know, had cars together, bank accounts together, all of that. It does not count in the state of Illinois. It didn't mean a hill of beans to anybody. And it certainly didn't mean a hill of beans to that wife. She knew her position, she knew where she stood, and she was on good legal ground to make every claim that she was making. She told that woman, "Get out of my house. By this time tomorrow, I want all of your stuff out of my house, because that's my house. And this is my husband." And so the girlfriend, the common law wife, left with her tail between her legs. She was very upset. you know, she felt very minimized. Like, I've been with this man all this time, and now you want to show up? She had every legal right to do so. Every legal right to do so. And she had to get out of the house. And she did. She had to move all of her things out of there. Now, as the husband went through rehab, guess who showed up for rehab? Not the legal wife. She didn't come back to the hospital. She went back to that house and did as a woman would do, changed everything around to her liking, and didn't care a hill of beans about him having lived there for the past 20 years with his common law wife that the state of Illinois did not and will not recognize. So, who came to the hospital to take care of him? Who helped him through his therapy? Who helped him through his rehabilitation? The common law wife did. The common law wife helped him through all of that. But she said when she went to the hospital, and every time she had to help him to stand up, every time she had to help him to get up out of the bed, she said it felt like her flesh was crawling every time he touched her, just to hold on to her, not touching her in an intimate or sexual way or anything like that, but just looking for her physical support to help him get up and move about and all of that. She didn't want to have anything to do with him, but she was with him for over 20 years. And a relative told her, you know what? You need to change that situation. You need to make sure he marries you so you don't find yourself in a predicament. And she said, oh, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. Girl, we already married. We've been together all this time. We already married. He calls me his wife, and everybody knows that that's my hubby. Everybody knows it, and everybody recognizes it, except the state of Illinois. She cannot get any of his Social Security benefits. There are no tax benefits for her, Social Security, or anything like that. Not in Illinois. But again, the kicker is if you got married in another state, if you got married in Ohio, if you got married in Idaho, if you got married in Texas, these are just some of the states that do recognize common law marriages. If you got married there and then moved here to Illinois, Illinois will honor it. And guess what? So will the Social Security Board. So will the Social Security Board. Social Security Board. And the other thing about Social Security is that in common law situations, even though the state of Illinois does not recognize it, when it comes to benefits, the Social Security Board may recognize it. And if that is the case, you have to meet the stipulations. And then you can then be entitled to his social or her benefits. You can get their I don't know why I can't say social tonight. Social security benefits. But again, you need a lawyer that is versed in common law marriages in or outside of the state of Illinois. They need to be versed with Illinois as well. And I would also admonish you to get a Social Security attorney that is very well versed in this area as well, so they can help you through the fine print. Because SSA wants you to prove that you were common law married. So that requires a statement from the husband and a statement from the wife and a statement from a blood relative on either side of the family. So the husband presents his statement saying that, yes, me and Ida Mae were married, and we've been married for the past 20 years, blah, blah, blah. So he submits his statement. She submits hers, okay? But along with the husband's statement, he needs a statement from a blood relative, and so does she. Additional proof that you were common law married for the SSA would be a mortgage. Okay, both your names is on the property, so you need to be able to present that to the Social Security Board. Okay, your mortgage, or if you're renting, rent receipts. If you have a car together in both of your names, things like that, utility bills that were in both of your names, those are acceptable to the Social Security. I don't know why I can't say Social Security Administration to prove that you were common law married and that you would be entitled to those benefits. You need all of that information. You need to be very well versed in what is required and how you present it. Living in the state of Illinois and living together for 5 years, 20 years, or whatever, never been to another state and have been married there, you get nothing. You are entitled not to anything. Should the husband leave a will stating that his common law wife is entitled to the property, the money, all of that, you better make sure that the real wife, the legal wife, that she's not going to contest it. If she doesn't contest it, then you just may get it. But if she does contest it, even though it is a legal will, it is a legal document, the law recognizes her. Hey, Pastor Ross, the law recognizes the legal wife. The common law wife could spend years in court and money, thousands of dollars of money in court, and still end up on the losing end. Now, we've heard of situations and circumstances like this, you know, in social media, especially in Hollywood. Who was it? James Brown that died a few years ago. Oh my gosh, he had a common law wife for I don't know how many years. I think over 20 years, 30 years, him and this woman had been together. But he never divorced his legal wife. And at his demise, guess who showed up? Mm-hmm. She did. She was the one that showed up. Mrs. James Brown, number one, the legal one, and took everything. So she walked away with nothing. Memories, maybe a few pieces of clothing or some memorabilia, but that did not account for the 20 plus, 30 plus years she had been with this man. And neither did it for this young lady here. She was so devastated by everything until she lost her appetite, she lost weight, and she eventually ended up moving in with one of her children, with one of her adult children, and then eventually moved out of state. She wanted nothing to do with Chicago, Illinois anymore because of what she had been through with this gentleman that she had been with all of these years. So think about it, ladies. Think about it, ladies. Think about what does it benefit you. I know a girlfriend of mine says that she would say to the young ladies on her job, you better always remember the paper matters. She wasn't talking about money. She wasn't talking about greenbacks. But that legal document that says that you are married, that you are Mrs. Smith, Jones, Williams, Watson, whatever your last name is, that matters. So when you got somebody all up in your face talking about that they will come on, baby, come on, let's just get a house together. You know, we don't need no piece of paper. You know, we married anyway. Not in the state of Illinois, you're not. So if you plan on spending the rest of your life with this person, you better think about what you are walking into. Because it may sound all warm and fuzzy in the beginning when you in your 20s and he talking about how much he loves you and y'all gonna build a life together and y'all gonna build a house together and all that. Y'all gonna go on vacation together. Y'all gonna get some other property and y'all gonna do this and y'all gonna do that. It might sound good when you're in your 20s. But when you're in your 60s, okay, you all have spent a whole life together, it might not amount to much, especially if he got a wife in the background, whether you know it or not. It does not matter. The legal thing is what matters. So that's what you have to consider. It's great to be in love and to want a lifetime relationship, but do it in a way that's going to benefit you. Don't be so quick, you know, to jump into a relationship that doesn't have any legal parameters around it for your protection. It's really for your protection, even more so than it is. There's someone that might say more so than it is for him, but it's really for both of your protection, especially when you have children involved and you have property and all these other things involved. It's for your protection. So you have to think about that. Now, to answer part two of the question that the person asked me, is this the right thing to do? Is it the moral thing to do to enter into a common law relationship? And is it etiquettely right? Is it right according to the standards of etiquette? I answered that question this way. The protocols for etiquette are to make people feel comfortable around you, to operate in respect, to operate with honor, and to operate with integrity. If you feel that any of those in your life would be compromised, then I say no. I say no also just based on the standard and the principle by which I live. I would not advise someone to do anything that I wouldn't do. I would not and will not enter into any long term relationship with any person, and any man, okay, and we are not married. I'm not going to live with you. I'm not going to be spending nights over. I'm not going to be at your house at 3 o'clock in the morning. You driving me home, or I'm driving myself home, or I've stayed too late. And so now, you know what? It's only going to be a few more hours to morning, so I may as well just stay. No, I would not put myself in such a position to be compromised. No. So, in my opinion, because of the standard by which I live and that I teach, I have to walk that I teach. Okay. So if I'm teaching it and I'm preaching it, I also have to live by it. And I live by that standard that if you are going to be in a relationship with a man and you want it to be long term, you best make your way to the altar. Make your way to the altar so that it is legal. Because when later on, when you have children, then that's what you're presenting to them that it's okay to do. That's the standard that you are giving them. And we have enough to deal with in society today. Hey, Walter, we have enough to deal with in society today than to have to worry about how we are shaping and forming our children. It is something that we should be concerned about. So do the right thing. Stand upright before them. Let them see a mother and a father that are legally married to each other and that are raising them in that household that have the same set of family values, personal values that they are passing on to their children so that their children would react in the same way when it comes time for them. Now, we know sometimes we do the best job that we can as parents, and our children may not follow in the footsteps that we would like them to. They may not follow in the order that we would like them to. Don't beat up on yourself about that. If you've done the best that you can do, and as an adult, then they are then their own person. And all you can do is know what you've done and how you've done to raise them and continue to parent them. Our children, our adult children, do not stop having a need for us as parents once they become adults. They still need our advice. They sometimes still need our correction. They sometimes still need us to help point them in the right direction. So, again, from an etiquette standpoint, no, I do not agree with a common law relationship. I don't think that it's right, and I don't think that it is permissive. It's not correct. Like I said, if the state doesn't recognize it, you find yourself in a pickle. And if your state does recognize it, what about your own moral values? There are a lot of couples that have been together for many, many years and that have been happy. That's their own business. But if you ask me personally, then I can share how I feel about that. And so that's what this post is about tonight. Someone asked me on behalf of a friend of hers, like I said, that had gone through this and felt so devastated in her life afterwards until she just completely changed everything about herself. And like I said, left the state of Illinois, left her job, everything, and moved out of state. And then she wanted her children to be around her because, she just needed to be comfortable. And that's what she kept saying. I need to be comfortable. So I need familiarity around me. So she had the children and she had the memories, but she no longer had the husband. She no longer had any of the benefits of that relationship. She's not entitled to his Social Security. She did not get the house. She did not get to keep the car that they shared together. She had kept her own car, but that's all she had. And so it's a sad testament, I think, to our lifestyles. It's a sad testament to how we're presenting ourselves to society, and especially when we call ourselves Christians. I know some Christian folk that were in relationships where it was a common law relationship. No judgment, no shade, okay? But they refer to themselves as husband and wife, but it wasn't legal. It wasn't legal at the time. It's not my business whether or not the church knew about it and all that, but I knew, and I just admonished them, hey, probably want to straighten this out. I'm nobody. You have to answer to your own conscience, and then you have to answer to God. So, Bedtime Chronicles of a Common Law Marriage versus the Legal Wife. That's my position, and that's my stance on it. I thank you so much for being a part of our broadcast on tonight. Bedtime Chronicles is normally done on a Friday night, but my Wi Fi has been just terrible all week long, and I haven't been able to be on. But since things were doing pretty good tonight, I wanted to present this case on tonight, and I'm very happy to take your questions, your comments, and your suggestions for show material, anything that has to do with etiquette on any level. Etiquette is not just dining. Etiquette is so much more than that. It's presentation, it's your personal style, it's business, it's personal, it's social. Etiquette is across the board. And I tell people all the time that etiquette begins when you enter the room. That's when your etiquette begins. And additionally, the manners that you practice privately are the ones that show up publicly. So, I am Lady Victoria, your etiquette educator. Thanking you for being a part of our broadcast on this evening. I want you to always remember to always be in your best etiquette health. I'm signing off for now. Unless there are any comments or questions that anyone would like to ask, shoot it right there in the comment box and I will address it right quickly. Otherwise, I'm going to be signing off. And if you post it later, I will respond. Thank you all for joining me on tonight. Have a restful evening. You all go to church on tomorrow. Enjoy yourselves. Be blessed of the Lord. Until next time, Lady Victoria, signing off. Bye for now.